Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is John from xemacscode, and in this video, guys, we're going to continue working with our CRUD application in JavaFX. So this is actually part 2, and we already uploaded the part 1, and of course the link is available on the description box below. You could first watch that video or the part 1 of this particular video, so you could follow along this part 2 tutorial on CRUD application in JavaFX. So we already added, from the previous tutorial, we already added the books.java file where it would help us to load data into our table view. And also, as you can see here in our main controller, we already added text fields, table view, table columns, and of course the button for insert, update, and delete. And as you can see here in our main.fxml file, we already have added the layout and position all the elements in our anchor pane layout. So we have ID, title, author, year, and pages, and of course the table view will display all the records coming from our MySQL database. By the way, guys, we have this particular structure for our database. So I have the database name library. That's what we have added in our get connection class last time. So for example, let's see. So we specified here the name of our database as the library, and that's the name of our database, of course. And then we have the table books with 5 attributes: the ID, the title, the author, the year, and then the pages. So of course, guys, if you want, I can upload the base database for this particular application. So again, the link is on the description box below. You could download the database for yourself, so you could save time creating the database. So now let's go back to NetBeans IDE and continue working with our main controller .java. But before that, guys, before we could connect our project to MySQL, we need the MySQL connector. So I have here MySQL connector Java version 8.0.19.jar. So actually, guys, you could use another version. I think there's only minor changes to the versions of MySQL connector, but as always, I could upload also this one, and the link is available also in the description box, so you could download and you get the same result as with our project in this particular video. So right now I'm going to copy and paste this because we need this into our project. So I'm going to paste it here. Okay, and then all I have to do, guys, is to add a jar or folder right here, and then I'm going to use the MySQL connector Java 8.0.19, okay, like that. And then of course after that we could use this particular method, show books, inside our initialize method right here. So every time our application will run, then it could call this particular method, show books, and then of course it should display the record coming from our MySQL database. So we have the name of our table is table view books, right? And then I could set the items. And then of course the list that we have here, this is actually returning an observable list coming from this particular method. And then we already populated the list by using this statements right here, where we iterated the result set, and then of course getting all the attributes or columns from our database, the ID, title, author, year, and pages. So if we try to run our program, save first and then try to run our program, it should display the record coming from our database. So actually our database has only one record for now. I have added this record title The Witcher, and the author is Emily Blunt, and then the year is 1991, and then the number of pages is 4,600, as you can see here. So that's what we are seeing here in our program. So as you can see, that the show books method is already working for us, and it's showing the record coming from our database. Now the next part of this tutorial, of course, is to create the method for inserting the record into our database. So we have here the text field. So all we have to do now is add the method for inserting the records. Okay, so close this for now, and then let's go back to our main controller, that Java. So in here we have show books. So under show books, I will create another method. So I'm going to say here private void insert button, or we could say insert record. We're not really actually inserting button, so we're inserting records. So basically what we will do here is try to build the query. So we could do that by using insert into books, and then values. We could specify the values here. So we could concatenate all the values that we need for our insert statement. So plus, and then the name of our text field for ID. So that's tf, and then ID right there, and then get text. Okay, so actually guys, you could check first if the the text field is empty or not, but in this case we're just for the purpose of this tutorial, we will go to simple solution first, and later on maybe we will add the validation for our text fields. Okay, after that we could add another one for the other attributes as well. So text field, and then tf title that get text plus another field tf author, right, that get text, another one author, or I mean comma, and then plus tf year that get text plus comma plus tf, and then pages that get text. So basically guys, what we're doing here is just we're getting all the values coming from our text fields, and as I've said, you could add validation to this if you want, but in our case for now, for simplicity purposes, we would directly go with getting all the text from the text field, and as I've said, later on we could add the validation for all the text fields that we have in our project. So, and guys, you could add single quotes for your fields, right? You could add single quotes so that you won't have problems with your query later on. So after this guys, you could say here execute query. Okay, and then you could specify the query. Okay, and of course we need to create this particular method. So all we have to do is click on this balloon icon and then create method execute query. So it's going to take string parameter, and then all we have to do here is specify the connection. So connection con equals get connection, and basically here we would try to use statement st and the try and catch method. So try and catch and then exception x. Okay, and then after this we could use the st object equals the connection object, and then create statement, and then of course execute update, execute update, specifying the query. And if there's an error or there's a problem with our statement, we could print the stack trace for that particular error, something like that. Okay, and of course inside our insert method we also need to call the method showBooks in order for us to see the changes that we have made in our insert record. So showBooks, and we need this, or we need to call this method every time we click the insert button. So we need to copy this insert record and then go back to handle button action, and then in here we could check if the source of the event is equal to btn insert. Okay, if that's the case, then we could call the method insert record. Okay, so let's try this for now and then run, and let's try to populate the text fields. For example, Java how to program, how to program. The author is, I'm not really sure about the author, but we're just going to populate it here, and maybe 1995 just for sample purposes, and then the number of pages will be 5600, and then click on insert, and we're getting the exception right here, and then we could try to debug our application. So we're getting null pointer exception in Java 65. Where is it? Main controller dot Java 65. So main controller 65. Okay, so we need to update the main controller because we're getting the label here, but in reality we don't have the label itself. So because we already deleted that label, so let's just remove this, and also the label object here declaration. So run our project once again and try to populate Java how to program, author John, title, the year 1995, pages, so for example 5400. So insert, and again we're getting this particular exception. Okay, so exception, SQL syntax exception. That's because we need to modify our query first. So let's try that. Let's try to modify our main controller .java, and instead of using this query, we need to specify the, or add colons or single quotes to our values. Okay, so single quote here, and then single quote here, and also here, and also the author, right? Okay, So I think that's it for this. Okay. So basically, we're just adding the single quote because this particular value is of type text, or we need this to specify as a string, but the ID is number or integer, and also the year and the number of pages. So we only have to specify the single quote in our title and of course the author. So save and run our project once again, and we should be getting a successful result. Java how to program, and then the author John, the year 1995, number of pages will be 5,400. So insert, and as you can see here, we already inserted the record into our database. So the table view is updating. Now the second method that we're going to add here is the update button, or I mean the update method. So we have here the insert. So all we have to do now is add also the method for our update. Okay, so we're having the read, we already have the insert record, so now we're going to work with the update record. Okay, and then in here we could also get or set the query right here, string, and then query, and then we're going to specify update books, and then set title equals single quote plus tf title that get text, double quote, and then single quote. And after that one, we need to add comma, and then we could set also the author equals single quote again plus tf author that get text plus double quote, and then single quote, and then comma, and then we could add also the year equals tf year that get text, okay, plus double quote, and then comma, pages equals plus tf pages that get text. Okay, that get text, and of course plus where id equals plus tf id that get text. Okay, and then we could specify double quote here, something like that. So this is basically the query for our update. So update books, and then set title, set author, year, pages, where ID is this particular ID right here that we're getting from the text field. So after that, guys, the same with our insert record, we're going to call the execute update or execute query method. Okay, and then of course we could call again the show books method right here. Okay, and then we need to copy and paste this because we need to call this method every time we click on the update button. So here, else if event that get source equals btn update. So we're going to call the update record. Okay, else if. So update record. Okay, so we could try to run our program right now. Okay, so we have here the records. So for example, we would specify the ID number 2, and then we want to update the title, for example, Java for beginners, and then the author is the same, John, and then 1995, and the number of pages is 5400. So let's try to update. So as you can see, the record from our database has been updated because we specified the ID, and the title has been updated for us. Okay, so the last method that we're going to work with is the delete method, or yeah, delete method. So before the execute query method, we could define another method here, private void, and then delete button, and then specify also the query. So it's very easy to specify the query for delete. So all we have to do is specify delete from books where ID equals, and then plus the TF-ID that we're getting from the text field. Okay, and after this, we could call the execute method or execute query method, specifying our query, and then show books just to see the update in our table view. So copy and paste this because we need this, or we need to call this method every time we click on the btn delete. So that's btn delete, open and close curly braces, and then delete button. It should be delete record, but for now let's just leave it as delete button. So okay, and then we could save our project and then run. For example, we have here a dummy book, and then we could have here dummy author. Year is 1996, number of pages is 10, and then insert. So we could delete this by using our delete button right here. Okay, so delete. So as you can see, the table view has been updated, and now we don't have the dummy record from our database. So that's how easy, guys, to implement CRUD application in JavaFX. So actually, guys, we could update or upgrade this particular application. So for example, if we click on this record, then it should display the record here in our text fields, and of course we could add icons to our buttons and also beautify our application. So we're gonna do that in the next video. So again, guys, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.